It's podcadzo.
Oh, welcome to podcadzo. Give me the podcast.
Welcome back. My headphones just cut out. Welcome back.
Sounds like a you problem.
To podcadzo, the official companion podcast to the well-known indie rock band Cadzo. Folks, this is the longest hiatus we've taken since the start of podcadzo.
Is it?
It's been something like almost a month since we put out an episode, which is crazy.
Holy shit.
And folks, the truth of the matter is we spent the entirety of that time figuring out how to print this poster.
It was not easy.
I hope you appreciate it.
It was really not easy.
First, we printed about 100 that looked like this. We said, no, we need it to be at least 3 times that size.
My right hand's off camera. It's because I no longer have a right hand. I lost it in the process.
And although we spent all that time printing the poster, we did not dedicate even a second to thinking about where we would place the poster
Or framing it.
when it was printed. So we're going with this right now,
I like it.
which it doesn't look terrible.
I
now
like
that I'm
it.
looking at it on camera.
The lamp is too important to not... Okay, so like, look. Here's without the lamp.
Yeah.
That just
The lamp
sucks.
does a lot of work.
It does put in a lot of work. It adds a lot to the ambiance. And so that's essentially why that's there. And if you don't like it, eat it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, looking at the camera now, I think I like it.
I like it.
We may move it week to week. Maybe there'll be a fun little game we play. We'll just move the poster
just
around,
move the poster
reposition the
around.
lamp.
Yeah.
Audio listeners, encouraging you to at least check out like 5 seconds of the video podcast so you can see what we're talking about.
Blind
We have a really
listeners,
cool poster.
Picture like a sex dungeon. I guess if you can.
That's actually pretty. Sex Dungeon with a red paper background and now a podcadzo.
Podcadzo poster.
Although you would not know what the podcadzo logo looks like, unfortunately.
I didn't even know
No
what it
frame
looked
of
like
reference there.
until about 20 minutes ago.
What the podcadzo logo looks like?
Yeah, never seen it before.
That's inexcusable. Because you're not blind. And you're half of this
No.
podcast.
I don't listen to bad podcasts.
I don't either.
I only listen.
We don't make them either. That's why we
Yeah.
took 4 weeks off.
We had to regroup.
Yeah.
We had to get back in our heads a little bit in the podcast zone. Like, I don't know. I saw my mom like 2 weeks ago. We got some lunch together, and she told me she was listening to.
Wait, how about this beloved ritual from
wait.
days of old?
Oh, you didn't even get the. Pts.
I started doing that before I thought to open it in
The
the
pts is the best part of it.
Well, now I have to have 2 beverages.
Yeah,
That's all that means.
At least one more beverage will be consumed.
Non-alcoholic beverages,
Of course, it's gonna be a Diet Schweppes.
I've never had a Schweppes, never will.
Do they have Diet
Respect
Schweppes?
myself too much, probably. Or isn't Schweppes diet enough already?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't know how you make
It's
it
probably
diet.
just Schweppes.
But anyway, I've completely fucking forgot what we were talking about before this.
You were saying something about your mommy?
Oh yeah, she said that the last episode was very interesting. The one where we talk about TikTok and Reels bands.
Your mom's a liar. I've
She
listened
said
to
it
that
was
episode.
very
It's
interesting.
not interesting.
Not in the way that it was interesting in like
Interesting how bad it was.
interesting like yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
it was
yeah,
pretty
that
interesting.
I listened
Yeah.
to it. It was
And
interesting.
then she went on to say that you were really out of it.
What?
And-
No, I wasn't. I was with it that week. I remember, even though it was a month ago.
I think it was the week before that where you were really out of it.
I was out of it. In a lot of recent episodes,
You're
kinda
not out of it today.
tend to black out.
Today, I feel like you're locked in.
I'm locked in,
You brought
baby.
the energy today.
I ate some pasta on the
Hey,
way over here.
you know
It's, like,
what?
carb loaded. Cheers.
Cheers. Let's
Happy
have
to be
a
here.
Cadzo cheers.
Happy to be back here.
Yeah.
Happy just to have another podcadzo out in the world for
Yeah.
the audience.
People
to
have been
enjoy.
asking me, "Hey man, what do you guys like? When's the new podcadzo? What are you guys going to talk about? Like, is there going to be a poster
we
up?"
been hearing a lot about the poster. Every week you say you're still working on the poster.
Yeah.
We do have an exciting episode. We have the whole show mapped out. We know exactly what we're doing.
I have slides.
We have a lot to catch up on since it has been several weeks since our last episode. We were supposed to have a guest on today. Let me just shout out Quincy.
Chief OG, baby.
Chief OG. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, Quincy.
He was going to come on for a birthday pod.
Turns out that people make plans on their birthdays.
Yes.
Besides this.
So it's just the two of us today. But before we get started,
we haven't started yet.
What exactly is Oh man! Oh, the structural.
The light duty masking tape isn't working.
Okay.
It's come off at the bottom.
This is the last time I'm adjusting it this episode. If it falls off, it falls off. We'll fix it next week.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's like nothing else adhesive that I have besides like automotive glue. Try that.
That sounds like a permanent
very
solution.
Very permanent.
Let's play around with the placement a little bit more, and then we'll jump to the automotive glue. Automotive glue.
It's like panel glue. So
okay, I could use some of that for the minivan actually.
Oh, for
the door panel.
I got you, baby.
Okay, sweet. We have a project after the pod now.
Yeah,
outside of jamming.
When it's nice and dark and wet outside.
Yeah, super wet. It's raining super hard right now.
Yeah.
Which is a good time to use adhesive.
That helps you date code this episode a little bit because it's raining. So now you'll know when this came out.
It has been raining a lot recently, though. So
that helps you even more.
Before we jump into the topics, I did have a quick thing I was thinking of on the way over here. I was listening I'm embarrassed to say which podcast I was listening to, so I won't even mention it, but one of the podcasters accused
to say which one it is.
Accused the other of having a vocal fry. And I've heard that term before, but I never really understood what a vocal fry was. Do I have one? Is it a problem? Am I guilty of a vocal fry?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
Hey Siri. What is vocal fry?
Is that
vocal fry registers? No. No, I don't think so.
Can you pull up an audio example of one?
Yeah, sure.
Not that I really care. I was just like, you see it on a lot of podcast reviews. If you ever scroll through like the podcast app, a lot of reviews will be like, I can't handle the vocal fry.
I think most technically speaking, isn't vocal fry when you like close? It's like when you close.
I thought it was like kind of like squeaky.
Yeah, it's when your air passage is closed fully and you or not closed fully, but when it's almost all the way closed and air is just like barely getting through. It's how like heavy metal singers like scream.
Yeah.
They use vocal fry to get the like.
Because I've heard several different people be accused of having vocal fry. And the only similarity their voices have is that they're a little bit annoying and grating.
This is a 27-minute long video about vocal fry, what it is, who does it, and why people hate it. I'm gonna go to
the what it is.
Yeah. More importantly, as beginning with.
Okay, that's not what I'm looking for.
See, that's not. I didn't think it had anything to do with the tack. I don't know. We don't have to spend too much time on it. As long as you don't think I have one. I think I have a nice speaking voice myself, which is why this podcast is probably as successful.
Yeah, this is way too much for me. Fuck that old science.
We'll do some extracurricular research outside of the pod.
Yeah,
come back next week with a solid answer.
I hate my speaking voice a lot, but I don't think that it is.
I'm not just saying this. You have a wonderful speaking voice. Your voice is made for the radio. It cuts through.
My face is made for radio.
That's what I meant. No, your voice cuts through. Easy to understand. You're articulate.
It definitely cuts through.
It's not annoying or abrasive.
It's definitely annoying and abrasive.
I promise you it's not. Everyone thinks their own voice is annoying.
Yeah, that's definitely true, but mine actually is. Maybe not in the context of a podcast. It might be a good podcast voice, but it's not a good speaking voice.
It's a good speaking voice.
Like when I'm at work and I'm like, having like a loud or medium level conversation with people, it's just like shrill and annoying, honestly. You know? It gets really like, I'm a lot louder, I think, most of the time than I realize I am too, which certainly doesn't help.
If you're trying to raise your voice above a loud noise floor, anyone's voice gets annoying.
And that just kind of...
It's not really your fault.
Well, no, it is. I should be different.
So it's been a month, almost.
Yeah, we took a month off, almost. Just gonna copy everything you say.
I had so we want to catch up on some music that has come out recently, that we've missed talking about on the pod, because ultimately, in case you've forgotten, dear listener, this is a music podcast,
and sometimes it's a new music podcast.
Yeah, usually a U2 music podcast, but sometimes new music.
Did you see the whole Bruce Springsteen thing about how he, I guess, said some mean stuff about Donald Trump? And then Donald Trump was like, you better watch what you're saying. And then Bruce Springsteen said more stuff, and then Donald Trump like kind of clapped back again. And then Bono got involved and was like, hey man, like...
How did I miss this?
I don't know. It's been going on for like a week.
What did Bono say?
He said that...
Was he defending Trump?
No. Fuck.
It's like, Bruce.
Surprisingly, no. He was basically just like, hey man, like, you can't fuck with Bruce Springsteen. Like, he's the boss, dude. Like, he is America's grandpa, basically.
There's only one boss in America.
Yeah.
That is true. Presidents come and go. There's only one Bruce Springsteen.
There's only one Bruce Springsteen.
And there's also only one Donald Trump. Fortunately. Well, it'd be more fortunate if there was zero Donald Trumps.
There is literally a second Donald Trump.
There is a Donald Trump Jr.
And he's pretty much the same thing, but somehow more annoying and more... He's like, he purposely tries to... He like... What's it called when people are like cringy on purpose?
Vocal fry.
He's got a lot of vocal fry. We'll just leave it at that.
Speaking of Bono, before we jump into some of our planned topics, I am very much looking forward to the Songs of Surrender movie coming out. And without spoiling anything, listeners of the podcast, we'll be covering that in depth here soon with a very special guest.
I have almost no expectation.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be pretty
interesting,
cringy, potentially. Anyways, before we hop into live music, or not live music, but recent music releases, this is what I want to say that. I did want to cover one piece of hot music industry news that at this point is several weeks old, but I still figured could be worth talking about on the podcast.
Yeah.
Do you know the YouTube/Instagram/TikTok musician Giacomo Toro?
Oh, yes.
Have you heard anything about this?
Yes.
So,
man, that is several weeks old.
Yeah,
we've been out of this for a minute.
Mm-hmm. It's something I wanted to talk about on the pod. It's old at this point, and there are several YouTube accounts that have done a lot better of a job covering this story than we ever could on the podcast.
Fantano. Beato actually did a good one.
I've been gaining respect for Beato lately.
Okay.
I've been watching a lot of his videos. Okay, we'll come back to Beato.
Table that.
A YouTube dude named Danny Sapko, who I never heard of before, is the one who kind of uncovered the story. Mm-hmm. So I would recommend going to Danny Sapko's video. The gist of it is there's this popular Instagram guitar player named Giacomo Toro who was stealing people's songs, taking credit for them, and then selling the guitar tablature for those songs that he did not write. And he made a lot of money off of that. He got a big following. He was not crediting artists, so he was screwing over a lot of people. Pretty bad news. But the other thing that's crazy about this is he was faking a lot of his playing too. Mm-hmm. Like he was coming across in his videos as a really gifted guitar player. It was obvious in most of his videos that he was not playing live, which is not a big deal. Like a lot of people mime guitar parts on their videos, you know, for a variety of reasons.
Yeah, that was something that existed before him.
Yeah, for sure. But not only was he miming the guitar parts, but they found out like he was
stealing them.
He was stealing them, and then he was doing shit like recording parts slower and speeding them up because he couldn't actually play that
speed.
Oh God, the poster fell.
Honestly, I kind of like it like that too.
Yeah, that looks.
It looks like we don't care enough. You know, we're too cool.
Yeah. So
the Rick Beato video was interesting because it was like a video about how he had recorded a previous video with Giacomo about how he was a good guitar player and stuff, and then he couldn't post the video because when Giacomo got there and was playing through the songs, he couldn't play them like up to Rick Beato's standard for his channel. And that's when Rick Beato is like, something is definitely like super weird here. Like he should be able to rip through anything, no problem. And he was just like really struggling. So
I actually like this the best of all
it's
the positions so far.
Interesting how it did a perfect like 180 and it's still upright.
And there we go.
There we go.
All
well,
right,
we tried, folks.
Hope you enjoyed the poster while it lasted, everybody. Look forward to next week's episode where we have a better mounting solution.
It's a perfect metaphor for
how everything's
been going.
Well, we'll come back to all that. So I didn't want to talk so much about Giacomo Toro because it's old news at this point, and like I said, a lot of people have done a better job of explaining it than we could.
And you already know.
But it did uncover this world of Instagram guitar nerds that I kind of knew existed but never really participated in.
Yeah, it's best to not.
Yeah, I don't like, even if Giacomo Toro was sincere, he's a guy I never would get into. And just like,
it's not inspiring.
It's not inspiring at all.
To just watch someone who's technically proficient at their instrument. It is in some ways, but it's not in a lot of ways. And
they're making music where the only purpose is to show off how proficient they can be. It's
look
like,
what I can do.
Yeah, exactly. And it's all just like random, like all the songs he was doing was just like random blues or funk jams, like little riffs. Like they're not songs. They're just, you know, a couple of riffs. No disrespect to the people who's writing those songs. A lot of them are cool.
Disrespect.
But it's funny that there's this whole world of like guitar nerds, and like Danny Sapko is very much in that. He's like a YouTube bassist, I guess. And it's a very tight-knit community. And,
it's similar for, I think, almost any like hobby or thing that you're into. There's like that subgroup that's like just trying to prove that they're like the best at it. And it's really annoying, and it's hard because also with social media, that's usually what rises to the top of the algorithm or whatever, is people that are just like overly technically good at something. And it's not like the standard that should be set for everybody. Like you don't need to be fucking amazing at you don't need to be the best guitar player ever to write a genuinely fantastic song.
No.
You also don't need to get by on other people's ideas to like prove that you deserve to have a place on the internet's conversation board. I'm ignoring that guitar thing because you're good at guitar.
Well, yeah,
you know what
and
you're
I also
doing.
just write fantastic songs. That's all I was saying.
Oh, the best ones.
So that's Giacomo Toro. Check it out if you're interested. Watch the Danny Sapko video. It's a fun little piece of internet drama that I was getting into the last couple weeks. Just wanted to mention on the pod. Rick Beato, though.
Yeah, so let's bring that up for a second, because I was thinking it would be fun to do an episode fully dedicated to Rick Beato and actually trying to find the good in his content. And I realized that that's probably not worth doing a full episode on. Maybe just having a little brief conversation.
We pretty much have done a full Rick Beato episode.
It was pretty much a full
that was us hating
why
on
this guy
him.
sucks episode, but that was just one take of his that I didn't agree with. And honestly, a lot of music, even music bloggers that I like, that I think do a good job of covering music, dialogue, discourse. I think that, you know, you're always going to find someone where they have a take that you don't agree with. And I do think lately I've watched a lot of Rick Beato videos and found myself really actually agreeing with a lot more of his takes than not agreeing with. And I think that the reasons why we don't like things may just be slightly different. But at the end of the day, he is way more, I think, musically informed than I am. Like, he definitely knows more about the music business, the music industry. He knows more about music theory. He knows more about music
because he's
history.
had 125 years to learn about it.
Yeah, he's got years under his belt, but he's definitely got a lot of good takes as well. And I do think, you know, sometimes I'm a fuck Rick Beato guy, but in general, it's not 100% of the time fuck Rick Beato anymore.
We do have to give him his flowers.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we've made promises on this podcast that we will never back off of Rick Beato. He is our sworn mortal enemy.
Yeah.
So that's still the case for sure. But
just to have anyone contributing to the music discourse in a positive nature is a good thing.
Indeed. No, obviously, ultimately, Rick Beato's a smart guy. He has some good takes. When we started this whole fuck Rick Beato thing, the only exposure I had to him was the videos that Julian showed to me where he's complaining about everything like an old man.
It was very much something
easy.
that I brought to the table.
And I think that was a phase he was very much in at the time. Seems like he's maybe coming out of it and being a little bit more rational about the state of music now, which is, let's be fair, horrible. But he is finding some good. I think I don't watch all of his videos, but like just from judging by thumbnails and titles, it seems like most of his videos are still on some hater shit.
Mm-hmm.
But a few videos I've seen lately, he's made good points, rational. I've agreed with him.
Yeah, and a lot of the times I think it's easy to seem like you're a hater when you approach things from the perspective of like, oh, well, when I was young, things were different. Because it's like, well, of course things are always going to be different. The longer you live, the more things change. But that can't be the sole reason why you don't like modern music or the music industry or whatever you want to call it. And the more I've watched his videos, the more I've realized there's a lot more to it than that. That is definitely part of it. He definitely always does mention the fact of like, oh, well, back in the 70s, a pop song was, you know, better. There was more stuff going on. It was more well produced, all that shit. Which is at the end of the day, I guess, true. But using that as the sole reason to discount new shit is lame. But he does always try to almost like prove from a music theory perspective, like why it is worse, like technically speaking. Everything's fine.
We're back. Just had to double check the structural integrity of the house.
Yeah, you always
make
have
sure
to do
we were
that
underwater.
when you live in a shit box. It is like genuinely super wet outside. Like my entire backyard is just a huge puddle right now.
Damn, son. Okay, so let's talk recent music releases.
Okay. I think I need to pull up my music real quick. But
okay. Let me go first then.
Yeah, you go.
The big one for me that has come out since we've last recorded a podcast episode is the Viagra Boys album.
Okay.
Viagra Boys.
Viagra Boys.
Have you listened?
Oh, yes.
I know you did.
Thanks to you, pretty much.
What do you think?
I like Viagra Boys now.
Yep.
I really like it a lot. I think it's a good mixture of a lot of different, it's a good mixture of a lot of different stories and a lot of different ideas. And obviously it's a super goofy record, but I also think that in a lot of ways it's kind of like their most mature one from a lyrical perspective. There's the most, maybe not the most, there's a pretty significant level of introspection and self-reflection and
Definitely.
And a lot of just wondering why am I like this type shit.
And using the trope, the comedic kind of interludes he does as more effective emotional devices.
Yeah, they're more emotional devices and less
just
breaks.
random. Yeah, for sure. They've really come into their own. this album. So I'm obsessed with it. We've talked about the singles.
I'm gonna pull up the album and
Yeah, so the
we can
singles
talk
were
through the
Man Made of
tracks.
Meat, The Bog Body, and Uno 2.
I did think at first that it was a bit weird for the record to open with the 3 singles.
Yeah,
But listening to it more, I do think it makes a lot of sense.
I like how they did it. I had the same thought. I was like, oh, it's kind of random and weird.
Yeah.
As is common with me, the first time I listened to it, I was like, it's solid, but I'm not sure about it. Like, I think I like Cave World, their last album, like a lot more than this. But then after like 2 or 3 more listens, it really got to me. And then it was actually driving back from Wyoming, trip that Julie and I went on. I was listening to it in the car on the way back, and just driving through the Wyoming countryside. And that's when it really set in for me how much I love this album.
Me and Will listened to it on the way to Pinedale.
Nice.
Yeah. I don't know if Will was into it. I like it.
Yeah, we never really talked about Viagra Boys with Benson.
I don't know if he knows them. He asked who they were. He was like, oh, who's this? And I was like, this is the Viagra Boys.
I could see him being into them. They're weird enough for him. Maybe not musically complex enough for him.
I think my one gripe with the album might be a sequence thing. Like, I just think that perhaps it is a little bit too, maybe not conventionally sequenced, but it's just like almost too predictable of a sequence.
Yeah, it can tend to sound a little samey.
Middle third of it for me.
The middle third, and it's this is the first time I've noticed this. I'm just looking through the track list, and I like this about the album, but this could be a contributing factor to the sequencing. Literally every song except for Best in Show Part 4, every song is between 2 minutes and 50 seconds to 3.5 minutes.
They're all very short.
Mm-hmm. The same length. Again, I don't think there's anything wrong with that necessarily, but that could be part of the sequencing.
Uno 2.
Oh, Uno 2 is 2:16. Never mind, so that's a lot shorter.
Short.
Yeah.
It's so short. Like, I don't honestly know why it is as short as it is. It's like, it's pretty much just getting started, and then it ends like, it feels like halfway through a verse to me. And I did wish for more from that song. But then I think Pyramid of Hell and Dirty Boys both make up for it, because Dirty Boys is a pretty short song, but it doesn't really feel that short. It feels like
it's 3:45.
pretty
It's one of the
expansive.
longer ones.
For the record, it's one of the longer ones, but 3:45 is like, I mean, that's a pretty short song still, I would say. But it feels like it goes to a lot of different places and within that short amount of time. You said you weren't going to put it back up.
I know, but we were taking a break. I needed something to do. And goddamn it let me down again.
We could get some staples.
Again, I'd rather just do the automotive glue at that point.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, so that's Viagra Boys. That's been a big release for me as of late.
I do really like the production of the record too. I think it is produced in a way more
it sounds
enjoyable to
great
listen
through
to
and
way
through.
than the last one. The last one was way more like produced like a post-punk record, I feel like, where it was like really harsh and tinny, not tinny, but just like really high midi. And this one has a lot more of the like pop rock production going on, I think, where it's like kind of vintage sounding, but everything's still like super close.
Yeah.
Super warm.
It is more vintage punk sounding, but like mixed, like the drums, although they're live drums, just kind of sound like a drum machine the whole time in a good way.
Very consistent drums.
Yeah. So, do you mind if I just rattle off 2 more releases? And that's really all I want to talk about. The next one, did you listen to the new Portugal the Man single?
I didn't know there was one.
It's called VIS. I meant to listen to it on the way over here before recording because I need
already
to do a
time
refresher.
for them to start doing new shit?
Yeah, because their last album, Chris Black Changed My Life was 2 years ago. Summer
I think that
2023.
was 2 years ago.
I know.
Feels like we were
That's been
literally
happening
just
to me a
talking
lot.
about that.
Yeah, for sure. Because I've just re-listened to In Times New Roman, and I was like, wait, In Times New Roman is 2023?
Dude, summer of
it fucks me
23,
up.
man.
Summer 23 was big year for podcadzo, because we had a lot of music to talk about.
Dude, it was such a good year for new music.
It was. That's when the Blur album came out too. Right? That was 2023. Whatever.
The Ballad of Darren. I wanna I don't want to get ahead of myself too much, but essentially I don't think new music is really that buzzing this year for the most part.
It's been a slow year.
Yeah.
Perhaps we'll pick up. I did hear that Machine Gun Kelly, I'm sorry, MGK.
MGK put some respect on his name.
The song of the summer. So I think things are going to start picking up. I think MGK.
Damn, that's so unfortunate that we go from a Brat Girl summer to MGK summer.
I've been feeling because it was about a year ago that Brat came out, and I'm feeling nostalgic already for that. That was such an exciting time.
It was.
For me, for all of us. It was like genuinely the most excited I got about a release in recent memory.
Yeah, no,
it
is the most excited I've seen you about a new release in a long time.
Yeah, it's still Brat Summer for me. So
it's interesting because the hype was there from right off the rip. Like you showed me Von Dutch when it was a single, and you were like, "This is gonna be huge."
Mm-hmm. Von Dutch was a song that just felt like it had existed forever. And someone was just waiting to pluck it out of the ether. That's what I said.
I was like, how is this not already something that someone has made? Like, man, it's such a simple and yet provocative song. I don't know. There really isn't that much happening, but it's just, it's like something that is universal, like Seven Nation Army. She
tapped into the universal.
That's her Seven Nation Army.
Undoubtedly, Von Dutch by Charlie XCX is the Seven Nation Army of the 2020s. They'll be humming it at soccer stadiums all over the world soon.
Yeah. Give it another 5 years or so.
Okay, the last recent release I want to mention dropped last week, actually. Pulp, baby.
Pulp record is pretty solid. I did give it a listen. Or whatever it's.
Yeah, the full record's coming out June 6th, but they've released 2 singles, Spike Island and Got to Have Love. And
I can never get used to the Apple Music thing where
I know it puts out the full. Yeah. They are so first Jarvis Cocker, who we haven't spent a lot of time talking about Pulp on the pod. When Britpop comes up, Oasis gets most of the stage time.
It gets all of the conversation.
Partly because Julian pretends that he doesn't like Oasis, and we have this feud. We have this
it's
pretend
just an act
feud
for the podcast. That's what it is.
So we're kind of doing a bit where Julian pretends that Oasis isn't his favorite band too, like it is mine.
I have Champagne Supernova tattooed on my back in full. Every lyric.
Yeah. Even the repeated verses.
Repeated.
He doesn't do times 2 or anything.
No,
he just rewrites it out.
I'm not fake like that.
Pulp they're definitely part of the big 3. I feel like when people talk about Britpop, it's Oasis, Blur, Pulp, then maybe the Verve as the 4th. Something like that. Pulp is up there in the big 3, but
I think Pulp's one of those bands that had a not necessarily unexpected resurgence, but kind of a unplanned resurgence of popularity.
Yeah, because Pulp started a lot earlier than Blur and Oasis. They were doing their thing in the 80s and just were finding no success and kind of folded it in. And then the Britpop thing came out. Jarvis Cocker was in his close to mid-30s, I think, by then. And so the sound that cultivated in the 80s wasn't a million miles away from what people were doing with Britpop. Suede, I suppose, is one of the other bands that needs to be mentioned. as like one of the big bands people always think of with Britpop.
I guess I need to check more Suede
Dude,
out.
you would like Suede
would.
of all of the.
I just forget that they exist, but I do think I would like them a lot.
Listen to Dogman Star.
I think I have that saved because you told me.
Yeah, we've definitely talked about it. But Pulp are fantastic. And Jarvis Cocker, as much as I love Oasis, and they are ultimately my favorite Britpop band. Well, actually, Blur has been coming up. I've listened to a lot more Blur this year than Oasis. Anyways, as much as Damon Albarn and Noel Gallagher are some of my favorite songwriters, I do think there can be a case for Jarvis Cocker blowing them out of the water.
Yeah.
When it comes to style, nuance, overall craft.
Arguably maintained relevance because Jarvis Cocker went on and had like an incredibly relevant like whole solo thing go down.
Yeah, and he's written for a ton of people. He was in the Harry Potter movie.
I guess probably not more relevant than Damon Albarn because
yeah,
Gorillaz is like the white album of our generation.
Well, that's funny. They were just talking about this on Time Crisis, and Ezra was like, Gorillaz are the Beatles for Gen Z.
100%. I think
it's true.
Demon Days will be an album that we talk about 75 years from now still. It'll be like OK Computer and Demon Days. And that's like it.
We just listened to Demon Days in Julia's car on CD, and I was like, this might be the most important album of my childhood outside of the Green Day albums we talked about on the pod.
Did you see that they're going to do like a Demon Days in full?
Mm-hmm.
One time, I think.
Mm-hmm. Which
got like
I'll have to
$3,000.
try to find a way to.
Let's go.
Yeah,
That'd be life changing.
In the emergency Gorillaz fund. Anyways, Pulp. It's been years since Pulp has released anything.
Years?
Yeah, their last
years?
album was 2001, and just kind of out of nowhere. The first time the first thing I saw about Pulp is they announced a Red Rock show in September, which I'm going to try to go to, and then this album coming out. So it's called More. That's the name of the album. Coming out June 6th, 2025. So the two singles, Spike Island, Got to Have Love, are both excellent songs. And outside of being excellent songs, they are the best sounding songs I have heard in a while. The production on them is immaculate.
The production is very, very good.
Yeah. Last Friday, I think got to have Spike Island dropped first, I believe, and then got to have no, they dropped at the same time. Because Spike Island was a B-side kind of thing to Got to Have Love. That's right. So I just played like both of them like 10 times in a row last week because I was like, man, this sounds so good.
Yeah. No, they are produced very well. I do think it is very cool how new of an idea is shared between the songs. Mm-hmm. It's not like a legacy band making a legacy album. Like it's like it sounds new. It sounds
current.
New.
They sound inspired. They're not doing just a throwback. I mean, it's the classic Pulp sound, and Jarvis Cocker's voice sounds amazing. He sounds the same as he did in the 90s. It's really
That's
excellent.
some vocal fry right there. Throws all.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, very. He's an idiosyncratic singer. That's for sure.
Definitely a very unique singing style, and that's also like. I think he has like literal folklore. Like he's like a folk figure now.
Oh yeah, Jarvis Cocker is like one of the most mysterious British figures, and like people idolize him. It all like Common People is the big Pulp song for anyone who doesn't know it. But Common People outside of Wonderwall.
Sounded like you said, "Come on, people."
That is what I said, to be clear. Common People. Was like outside of Wonderwall the biggest anthem of the 90s in England, I think is fair to say. And then what solidified Pulp's legend, in my opinion, is that after so Common People was the big single and it was on the album Different Class, which is a great album. But then 3 years later they released This Is Hardcore. When was the last time you listened to This Is Hardcore, if ever? Have you listened to that whole album?
No, I have listened to the record, but not probably like since like 20. It's been a long time. 2018.
It's a masterpiece of an album. It's dark.
It's super dark.
Weird.
That's why I like it. It's very dark.
They were going through a lot of weird stuff, obviously, when the album came out. And it's amazing. So listeners out there, if you're unfamiliar with Pulp, here's my recommendation. Start with Common People. Listen to that song first. Then listen to the 2 new singles. Then, if you have time, listen to all of Different Class, which came out in 1995. And then play This Is Hardcore. And you'll be a Pulp fan. I guarantee it.
Yeah, that's solid advice. Anyone who likes, I mean, really if you like modern indie pop or pop rock or whatever, then there's really no reason why you wouldn't necessarily like any Britpop from the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
It's all like, I mean, it hasn't changed too terribly much other than now it's like way more synthesized and fake sounding, overproduced and soulless.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, the first Pulp album was 1983.
Yeah.
And they didn't get mainstream success really until 94.
Like 94.
Which is when His and Hers came out. So that's crazy. That's like us. That's like no one giving a shit about us until 2035. Let's be honest.
I'm
it's
not
realistic.
Gonna live that long.
We'll be posthumously very popular. We'll be like searchling for Sugar Man or
that's the only way we will get popular is if one of us dies a tragic death.
Tragically. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, no, I think the Pulp record will be exciting. It doesn't come out for like a couple more months, right? Or
June 6th.
Oh, June. Oh,
Literally
okay.
said that 3 times, dude.
Fuck. That's pretty soon.
It's okay. I forgave you. All right. What are your albums?
All right. Well,
releases?
I'll talk about one that I like first. Why not? What I've been really listening to a lot lately is the new Psychedelic Porn Crumpets record, which is called Carpe Diem.
I checked
Moon
that
Man.
one out because of you. Yeah. I dig it.
I really enjoy it. I will say, and this is, I guess, kind of in line with the last couple of the Psychedelic Porn Crumpets records, but it's not necessarily the most like through line record of all time. Like, it kind of hops around a little bit. It starts out like pretty heavy and like pretty rockin', riff driven. And then it gets like mathy for a second, super mathy for a second, which I really appreciate. And then it kind of like chills the fuck out for a bit. And then it picks up again. And then it kind of ends a bit more on like the acoustic, like psych thing. So it feels to me a bit more like a collection of songs than perhaps like a concept
Cohesive
record
album,
or a full-on cohesive record, yeah. Which normally I gravitate more towards records that are like the full project feels like a full project. But I do genuinely love like every song on the record. I think it's a good mixture of a bunch of different things. And I do think that it all does sound like Psychedelic Porn Crumpets. It doesn't ever get so far away from the mission statement that it's like, man, I don't even know what they're trying to sound like. But yeah, that record has been super enjoyable for me. I would say that the song March On for Pax Ramona will probably be in like my top 5 songs when the year ends, because I listen to it like once or twice a day. It's so fucking good.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's not a record, but the new Primus song that has Maynard James Keenan on it.
I haven't listened yet.
I really enjoy it. It's not the most interesting Primus song ever, or song in general. It's kind of just like a Primus song, but I do really enjoy that it exists at all. Like, just that they're putting out new stuff, because obviously they got a new drummer. For those who don't know, he's just like a dude that they auditioned, and he
I think we talked about that on the
like
pod
famous or anything.
last
So
time.
that story's been fun to follow, and he tracked the drums for this record as part of like the audition process.
It's Little Lord Fentanyl. Is that the one with
Yep.
Keenan?
Yep.
And horrible album art.
Yeah, it's really, really, I think AI driven. It looks like it
it's
might
bad.
be. But that being said, the song itself is like super dark. Obviously, it's about fentanyl, and it's it's like a pretty classic Primus song. I'll leave it at that. But the drum performance is fucking amazing, and the mix is cool too. Like the production style is definitely very uniquely Primus sounding. And then the other record that I'll mention that I've been obsessed with is a record called Spinner by a band called Eyes. It's like a heavy metal record. I think you would like it. Not totally sure, but I do think
Check
you
it
would
out.
at least
I'm
enjoy
adding it
it.
now.
Think it's entertaining. It's very heavy, very riff driven, very fast. But it also, the thing that like ties all the songs together is like these weird like guitar loop effects where they're like super harsh and shrill, like super fast, like slidey guitars that are looped and make like this super chaotic. The name Spinner makes a lot of sense after you listen to the record, I think. But it's a fucking banger. It's only 24 minutes long, so it's not necessarily
Sweet. Low commitment. I've added it.
Yeah.
gonna listen to it.
It doesn't require much of your time, but it is again, every song is
Dude, the
genuinely
next Kadzo
fucking
album should be
incredible.
24 minutes. That'd be dope.
If
That'd be
we
very
made
achievable.
a heavy metal, like a thrash metal kind of post-punk inspired record for our next release, I would love nothing more than that. That'd be literally the most fun thing I could think of.
I think it'll be more
It's already
of
too
our
late for that.
indie bullshit, but 20 minutes of it.
It'll still be 11 songs, but
11
only 20
songs,
minutes.
2 minutes each.
No, that's still way too long.
Yeah, it's 22 minutes. Shit. Okay. We can easily cut down all of the songs we're working on to 1 minute.
Mm-hmm.
I hate most of the ideas anyway, so way better for me.
We'll introduce an idea, and then right when you think we're going to go somewhere else,
If we
the
came out
song's
with a
over.
20-minute album, we could have that out.
Next week,
We could have, like, the time between last pod and this one.
it'll be out.
I mean, if we did the poster in only 4 weeks, a 20-minute album.
The poster
A week.
arguably takes a lot more work than the record
Mm-hmm.
because that's something physical.
yeah. Music's not physical.
Music is just something that's floating around in space.
Floating around
At
in
this
space.
point, nothing's physical. But anyway, yeah. So Spinner, check it out. Love that record. I want to take a second to address a couple records that I'm rather disappointed in.
Oh, nice.
The first one being the Tall Tales record from Mark Pritchard and Tom York. I don't know if you've checked it out.
Mm-mm.
Don't even waste
Also
your time.
on the radar, but have not gotten around to
Don't even
listening to it.
Don't even
Okay.
waste your fucking time.
Good, thank you.
It's literally so boring. It feels literally incomplete, which is kind of disappointing because if anything, I feel like most Tom York songs are like over complete. Like there's maybe a little more going on than there needs to be. But like this one feels really underbaked. It doesn't really feel like either of the contributing members are super engaged in the concept, and that the concept also isn't super ironed out. Like they don't exactly know what they're swinging for most of the time. So it doesn't feel complete, and it also doesn't feel interesting. It's very boring. And it's honestly kind of disappointing, but also I will say, I mean, Tom York didn't release, like he was like releasing one thing every like 10 years.
Yeah.
And now he's putting out at least one thing every year or every other year. So the output has increased, and when the output increases, I think you're destined to have slightly less of a like 100% banger streak, if that makes sense.
It does.
But that being said, maybe consider finishing the record before you put it out next time.
Yeah, Tom. Why don't you take that to heart?
So that's a bit disappointing. And then I don't think the record's out yet. No, it's not. But Matt Berninger is planning on putting out a solo record.
Oh, talk about boring. Jesus.
It is also incredibly boring. I won't even really say much more than that. He shouldn't be putting out solo music. I think the only thing that makes Matt Berninger interesting is the songwriting of the Dessner brothers, which sounds mean, but it's true.
Yeah.
That's why they got famous as a unit.
They
His ideas just
locked
aren't
in on
unique when they're
amazing
by themselves.
chemistry
Exactly.
for a while there in the early 2010s.
I appreciate trying to branch out and do solo stuff and work with different people, and I understand how that's important for an artist.
I know Elvi
You don't
wasn't
need to release
really
everything,
solo
though.
technically, but I thought
No.
that album was pretty cool.
Elvi is great. I love Elvi. It's mostly the stuff that is under Matt Berninger's name that I just think that just doesn't need to exist really, because it still sounds like he's trying to sound like the same type of stuff that The National is doing, but it just doesn't have the creative, like, indie alternative twinge because the Desners are not like contributing to it as much.
Yeah.
And then he's also playing solo shows where he's doing like acoustic versions of the Alcott, which is just like the worst song I've ever heard in my life. So yeah, fuck that guy. And then I also do want to briefly mention 7 piano sketches from Andre 3000.
Yes.
Don't
This
know
is
if
another
you've
thing.
checked that
I have not actually listened to it. I've just been keeping up on the internet hate around the album.
Yes. So
And I put on like the first sketch of it just to get a vibe of what it was about, and didn't care to listen through the rest of Andre's sketches.
Sketches.
Yes.
Yeah, I think again, it's a good instance of not everything you make needs to be released, and I think even Andre knows that. And I do think part of the reason why he did release it was to show people like, hey, you don't have to be great at the instrument in order to fuck around with it and have a relationship with it. But it does seem a little bit, I guess, like ego boosty or narcissistic.
Did you watch the Fantano video
I
on
did.
it? I thought he
did.
made some good points
He
on there,
does.
because like all the hate, Fantano's point is that the hate he's getting is a result of this thing you can do in the music industry, where if you're a well-known entity, you can just release whatever,
Garbage.
and it's going to get a lot of attention and do things for you. And he's entering the arena of jazz, which for people who are into jazz, it's a very sacred space. You don't want to fuck around in that space if you don't know what you're doing when it comes to jazz. But I liked Fantano's point. He was diplomatic that, like, yes, that is a thing that was the result of Andre 3000 releasing this, but the fact that that condition exists in the music industry is not Andre 3000's fault. He had his own reasons that, we don't know for putting this out. It was important to him, I guess. And
And I also think considering it jazz just because it's improvisational music becomes a slippery slope.
yeah.
It's not jazz, or it shouldn't be considered like it's trying to be jazz just because it's on a piano and because it's improvisational and because it's sometimes like
I said, I only
atonal
listened
or
to the
whatever.
first
No,
song.
you're
that one's
right. Like a lot of people do level it to his interpretation of what jazz is or what him trying to make jazz. At the end of the day, though, like if that's what you consider the standard for jazz is just that it's improvisational, then like Sumac is jazz too. And Ken Mode is jazz. Yeah. Like a lot of things that aren't actually jazz suddenly fall into the jazz category. I don't think Andre 3000 ever claimed, well, he definitely did, unfortunately. I shouldn't say that out loud, but he didn't push this as like a overtly jazz album. He pushed it as like, this is me fucking around, not knowing what I'm doing, trying to figure it out in real time, which, yes, there is, I guess, a arguably jazzy nature to that mindset. But at the end of the day, a lot of it was not attempting to be good jazz music. A lot of it was just him attempting to find anything that he thought sounded cool. And then when he found something that he thought was cool, trying to build on that idea. And then he just happened to be recording it. The mistake he made was releasing it because, like, bands do that all the time. We do that all the fucking time. Like, we jam on stuff. It doesn't work. It sounds kind of mid sometimes, or it's just not an idea that can be progressed on, and then we don't evolve it, and then we don't release it later. And Fantano does make a good point in mentioning that that's not an Andre 3000 exclusive thing. Like, a band that we both love, U2, put out like a 40 song record of acoustic songs and demos and shit, and it was one of the worst things I've ever heard because like you just don't always need to release every single thing you've recorded. Most of the time, you should only release a very select few things that you choose to move forward with if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And it's become a bit of a disorder with artists to be like, well, let me just release everything I've ever recorded because then people see me in all these different lights and it looks like I have all these different skills and I dip my toes into all these different things. When in reality, I don't think Andre 3000 has spent much more time learning piano than he has spent just fucking around on it, if that makes any sense.
No, it's very random. And like, it's just, obviously on Andre 3000, the generational talent, a creative genius. I hate shit like calling a song When You're at Ant and you wake up in an awesome mood. It's like, oh, it's so random. It's art.
Oh,
it's
man, it's so
no, it's not.
conceptual.
It's literally just garbage,
It's garbage,
dude. It's like you're just coming up with random shit. It's garbage.
Yeah, I do.
Something I've noticed a lot in, I mean, across all music, but I feel like with hip hop releases lately, with well-known, beloved hip hop people, they're leaning towards random and you have to accept it as art, as high art,
high level because I'm seems like
me.
It's provocative.
Yeah, because I'm me, and I'm just contradicting the point I made about Andre 3000 a second ago. But yeah, because I'm me, this can't just be random. It means something. It's art. It's something you don't comprehend. No, it's not, dude. You're lazy. This shouldn't have come out. It's not art.
Or you thought it was funny, which is fine too. Oh, I came up with a funny song title. Or, oh, this release would be kind of funny because it shows how little I know about what I'm doing.
Yeah, but
it wasn't approached that way
run
at
with
all.
the joke then. Commit to the joke.
Don't make
the
seem
whole
like,
thing funny.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I do think at the end of the day, it sucks because, and again, this isn't Andre 3000's fault, but like, the jazz dialogue, the jazz universe is pretty, I would consider, obscure these days. Not like a lot of people are paying attention to what's going on in jazz right now.
Mm-hmm.
But then Andre 3000, who's not even known for jazz or improvisational music, really drops it, and all of a sudden a jazz album becomes like a huge part of the musical zeitgeist for like a few days at least.
Yeah.
Which is just super unfair to jazz artists who have like a whole career like spanning growth and development in the genre that get no public conversation whatsoever. It's fine that not a lot of people like jazz. Honestly, it's a really hard genre of music to really get into and appreciate. But if you are gonna pretend to like inflate jazz on this one person's reputation, then like, be consistent. Talk about jazz that's relevant still, that people like and listen to. Because there's a lot of new jazz these days that's pretty damn cool. And a lot of it, a lot of new jazz kind of does sound like the Andre in some ways. Like a lot of it is super atonal.
Yeah.
Super time bendy, like really post-modern. But it comes from a place of being informed rather than just being completely random.
Yeah. They took the time to learn the fundamentals. They paid their dues before they
It's not just
took
like
it off
stabbing
into
keys
a
and
different
hoping
direction.
for the best.
Yeah. Okay.
Sometimes it might be, but most of the time it comes from a place of structure. I want to mention the Bon Iver record too. I don't know if you even give a fuck about Bon Iver. Have we ever talked about Bon Iver?
We haven't, and here's the thing. I don't give a fuck about Bon Iver.
I wouldn't really if I were you.
Yeah.
It's just, again, disappointing record. From a dude who takes so much time between releases, I would expect each release to be more, I guess, enlightened than the previous one, but it seems like it kind of is going the other way. Each release is getting slightly more, I guess, derivative of the last one and just kind of boring and leaning more into the popular trends of pop music. And it's also not cohesive, which is perhaps the biggest bummer because Bon Iver always, I think, released very conceptual and cohesive projects before, and this one just is not that. It's very all over the place. It literally it's 2 discs, but it's 1 record, and disc 1 is only 3 songs, and they're all just like acoustic guitar songs, and then that suddenly shifts into his pop digital produced process bullshit. But it's just like super, it sounds like Coldplay music at this point, like poppy, major, kind of sad lyrics, but also kind of hopeful lyrics. Like, he's making music that Chris Martin would make at this point. And it's super disappointing because he literally made, in my opinion, the literal best record of the 2010s with
22 a million. That one,
22 a million.
See that one, I never. That's kind of where I was like, okay, Bon Iver is not for me, because I was with him up until that point. It's not like I hated that album, but everyone was like ranting and raving about how great it was, and I just never got that into that album.
As someone who really appreciates, like, I would say in general, minimalist music is probably my favorite type of music that exists. From a minimalist perspective, it's the best, I guess maybe not the best album
That's
of the
why
2010s.
Oasis is
Best
your favorite
minimalist record of the 2010s. Oasis is the opposite of a minimalist band. They have very little and they somehow try to do way too much with it.
Hey, bro, maximize the cocaine, maximize the guitars.
Yeah, that's
their credo.
Maximalism, I think, is what that's called. But anyway, really not a fan of the Bon Iver record. And that kind of brings me to like my closing point for new music for the year, which granted that only covers like a couple weeks, months tops of new music. 2025 obviously is a lot longer. Oh, I forgot to mention the new Sumac record, The Film, with More Mother.
There's another new Sumac record?
It's a collaboration. It was also recorded by Scott Evans again.
There's a lot of collabs going on right now.
Yes. But that record is fucking incredible.
I'll check that one out.
Big shout out to The Film. I think it's their best collaborative record they've ever done. And it also still sounds like it sounds even better than the last one. I can't remember what it's called right now, but it did, their production just continually gets more mind-blowing to me. But yeah, so generally speaking though, I think 2025 is like a really disappointing year for me for new music. None of it's been very inspiring other than like the Spinner record for me. And I'm a little bit bummed. Like, I don't know, normally new music is like the thing that keeps me going.
Keeps us going.
Yeah.
And it just like for the overall culture, pop culture.
Pop culture is really suffering this year too.
Really suffering. It's almost as if there's some sort of nefarious nefarious I was gonna make a point, but I abandoned.
It's
point.
bail.
Anyways, it felt like we were picking up steam since 2023, as we were talking about earlier. And last year was
pretty fucking good.
I thought last year a lot of solid releases.
Oh, so many.
And the momentum is not carried on into 2025 so far.
And this year, I guess maybe because the momentum was so solid, but this year was a year I was expecting a lot of really good things to happen. And I don't know, it's just been kind of disappointing. But also a lot of artists that I was expecting big things from last year kind of let me down too. So I feel like maybe I could have seen it coming a little bit, but the optimist in me just wanted to believe like, oh, Bon Iver's putting out a record, it's going to be 10 out of 10. Like, I mean, obviously we didn't know about the Andre record, but if Andre puts something out, I'm expecting it to be 10 out of 10.
Do you like...
oh, man, dude, the Arcade Fire record. Holy shit, brother. It's somehow even worse than Everything Now, which I already think
That's
Everything
funny.
Now
I've already put the Arcade Fire album out of my memory. I haven't...
I did too. I just remembered it.
Pink Elephant. Yeah, I didn't get through the whole thing.
I listened to about, I would say, 30 seconds to a minute tops of each song. And that was me genuinely trying to get through it. It's like either a synth transition track, like half of it is synth transition tracks, which like, who the fuck? I know artists have to branch out, try new things, do different stuff. Who the fuck wants half of an Arcade Fire record to be synth tracks? That's just doesn't make any fucking sense to me. And then the half of it that sounds like Arcade Fire just sounds so derivative of things that they were trying to do either 10 years ago or 25 years ago, and it just doesn't work at all. It's so bad. And I mean, Win Butler, I think, didn't even let the dust fully settle with all of his sexual misconduct shit before trying to somehow put out a record and have an album cycle to make people forget about all that.
Yeah, just sweep it
but
under
that
the
actually
rug.
just makes people remember it even more. Like, I don't know. It's so horrible.
So
and
it
that
says
record
sexual
to me,
assault on the ears.
Yeah, I need some money back for that, Arcade Fire.
Sorry
but
for that distasteful joke, listeners.
that record to me is more indicative of this year's musical culture than anything. A band
Yeah.
that should be putting out,
And it has
if
just been
they're
a
going
bunch
to put
of
out anything, it should be high quality.
exactly. Legacy at this point, legacy bands disappointing us.
Just putting out shit that feels like they're completely phoning it in
yeah.
for the sake of having a new release.
Okay. Two last things before we close this episode of Podcadzo. That was our new music corner. Podcadzo New Music Corner.
We should have a jingle for that.
We should make the show entirely segment based and
Yeah.
have jingles for every segment. We can follow the same structure every show. Jingle. I think that's the
Jingle
future
segment,
of Podcadzo.
jingle segment. Oh,
Yeah.
wait, actually, no. Jingle segment ad. Jingle
Jingle
segment
segment ad.
ad. Yeah, I like that
Speaking
better.
of which, companies, where are you guys at?
Can you sponsor us?
Yeah.
I promise that I will drink AG1 on camera.
No, I won't. Don't fuck with AG1. I will not. Squarespace is okay. No sports gambling. I won't do sports gambling.
I'm not into Shopify either.
I won't do Shopify. I only do shit I want that I'm interested in. We'll tell you. We'll reach out to you, companies.
Gas
and
station
tell
boner
you.
pill companies, hit us up.
Yep, 100%. Yeah, we're not doing Blue Chew.
Marlboro Reds.
Marlboro Web. Marlboro Light.
It'd be cool to get sponsored by a cigarette company.
I would do Camel.
Yeah. The Podcadzo New Music Bench, sponsored by Turkish Royals.
Ooh,
Hey,
that'd
kids, you know
be a
what's still
lovely
cool?
excuse
Smoking
to
cigarettes.
Smoke some Turkish Royals.
In my basement.
In my smoking phase, I was a Turkish Royal guy.
Me too. Turkish Royals, and then
They're delightful.
I was Turkish Royals, and then I was American Spirits, and then I was back on Royals.
I did American Spirits, then I realized it sucked and was stupid, and it just like Turkish Royals.
The Celadon American Spirits are really great.
What's Celadon?
I think they're like technically the lights.
Is that the light blue color?
They're like
package?
the seafoam green color, kind of, with the white
Yeah.
filter.
Okay. Yeah. I'd do
Those were fire. And then I also, we both went, I don't want to dox you, I guess.
No. Yeah. We started doing hand rolls.
We did rollies for a bit, which were the spirit rollies. And those were genuinely delicious. Like, those just tasted so good. And they got you so buzzed.
I do love tobacco.
Tobacco's great.
Not chewing tobacco. Well, no, chewing tobacco was fine. I don't like Zins, as I've made clear on this podcast.
Yeah, Zins are weird, man.
Which isn't, it's tobacco free. It's a horrible product.
I tried a Zin out of desperation when I went to Japan because I obviously didn't have a vape. Flavored like nicotine vapes are illegal in Japan, and I didn't want to bring a vape on the plane because when you get there, you can't even smoke it legally, and then it might explode on the plane. It's a whole thing. But essentially, I tried a Zin for the first time right after getting off the plane, and it made my whole mouth
Why did not do it on the plane?
so numb because I didn't have them on the plane.
Oh, I missed that part of the story.
No, they weren't my
That'd have been a
Zins.
mistake,
Some
though.
dude was just like, you need a Zin, and I was like, dude.
Yeah, they're
yes,
horrible.
please.
If you do Zins and you don't, if you consume Zins, just start smoking, you fucking loser.
The buzz didn't even go to like my brain or my body. It just stayed like in my mouth and my jaw pretty much,
Yeah.
and in my ears. Yeah, if you do Zins as like an alternative for your nicotine, then like
Smoke a
don't
cigarette
know.
or just quit altogether.
just don't do
Or
it.
just go back
man.
to gum.
chew gum.
Chew gum.
Or
Do patches.
I don't know. Honestly, at that point, you might as well just be vaping or smoking cigarettes because they claim that it's all a healthy alternative, but there's just like how there's shit in vapes that we don't know about. There's gonna be shit in Zins that we don't know about.
Yeah, at least we know what's in cigarettes.
Yeah.
It's bad, but at least
bad.
we know it.
It's
The
like
devil,
pesticides.
the devil, you know, folks.
Yeah, exactly. There's already pesticides on your food, so you might as well be smoking the pesticides too.
Here are the two things I want to close on.
Okay.
I saw Justice in concert, and it was awesome.
How was it?
So cool.
Do you want to break it down for us a little bit?
There's not a lot to break down. I don't go to a lot of EDM, generic term for all this, but a lot of EDM shows. Justice was by far the best one I've been to.
That's good.
But the thing that happens to me with EDM shows is it all just kind of like ends up blending together as like just kind of an overstimulating experience.
Like one long set that never ends.
Which it was indeed. That's what Justice intends it as. It was super well structured, the best light show I've ever seen. So dope. But as much as I like Justice, you know, EDM isn't my favorite kind of music, and seeing it live, Justice is really like one of the only dance acts I would buy a ticket for. But yeah, it was a cool show.
The weather seemed pretty interesting.
The weather was interesting. I
Almost
swear,
seems cool for a show like that.
Yeah, it was. The weather was perfect. It wasn't too cold. Every show, I go to a lot of Red Rock shows, and 95% of them, I end up getting rained on. It was raining and it was foggy, but it was cool. It fit the music. Okay, so that was Justice, and then Kneecap. Justice for Kneecap. Let's do a deeper Kneecap discussion
on
later
a different
on
episode.
next time, because
I honestly
we'll
get
in an hour 15.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta fly to Chicago in the morning.
I forgot
at
about
like
that.
6 a.m.
I totally
so I wanna
forgot
jam
about
and
that.
get out of
Yeah,
here a
I
little
forgot
early.
about that. No, I don't know much about the Justice. I mean, I know about what's going on with Justice as far as the political stuff and the arrest
Kneecap even?
and all. Yeah, Kneecap. Sorry.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I was saying Justice for Kneecap. I
Justice
didn't even
for
realize I
Kneecap,
was.
yeah.
I wasn't
No.
referencing Justice.
No.
The band I was just talking about. Okay.
No.
Let's get that
Yeah,
clear.
that was just a gaffe on my account. But yeah, no, the Kneecap thing is interesting to me, but I don't know that much about Kneecap themselves. And the Kneecap music that I've heard is good, but not, to me, personally, not fantastic, other than the political messaging behind it. So I would like to be enlightened a bit more on Kneecap and have that full discussion. Be educated.
It's disturbing what's happening. Sharon Osbourne, you can rot in hell.
Literally go fuck
all
yourself.
I care.
How are you going to be married to a punk man and suddenly become so pro-institution that you are for the killing of innocent people?
That you're on the Pierce Morgan show every week. See you next Tuesday. Goodbye. And we will see you next Tuesday. It's probably when we'll put out the next episode. Thank you for listening to Podcadzo.
We got to do an episode at some point. Well, we don't have to do a whole episode, but we got to do a brief episode or a brief part. We got to do a segment about the Pinedale trip at some point.
Yes, we'll recap
because this big man, in case you guys
legendary
forgot, this
trip
big man's
to
getting married
Pinedale,
soon.
Wyoming. I'm having so much post-trip blues about Pinedale.
I want to go back.
I want to go back to it. It's so fun.
I want to go back and I want to just never leave. Like I want to become, like I don't know what I'm doing, but I want to become like a fly fishing guide and live in a trailer. That sounds so sick.
I just want to live at the Rivera Lodge. Shout out.
Dude,
Pinedale,
yes.
Wyoming, Rivera Lodge.
Yeah, that place was so incredible.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Good night.
Bye.